Davis Hall, the first building on site at the Worcester Academy campus, was first used as a hospital. Davis General Hospital was used by wounded soldiers of the Civil War prior to its purchase by the Academy. For years, students were convinced that the building, used as a dormitory and faculty residence from the 1860s until it was demolished in 1964, housed at least one ghost. By legend, a soldier had been evacuated from a southern battlefield to Dale General with a leg wound. The wound festered and became gangrenous, and ultimately, amputation was required. The soldier did not survive the ordeal, and thereafter, his spirit wandered the fourth floor, the attic of Maine Davis, seeking his lost leg. The sound of his pacing along the fourth floor corridor, accentuated by the tapping of his wooden leg, could be heard at night.
When my father taught at WA, my parents and I lived on the third floor of Maine Davis Hall, which was right beneath the attic. I do recall clearly the occasional sound of tapping along the corridors above me, beginning at the south end of the building and proceeding along the corridor, becoming louder as it reached the area of my bedroom. It was not really a menacing or loud sound, but it definitely could be heard. Some heard it at night, but I best recall it taking place early in the morning. Mr. Brian O'Connell, October 12, 2009.
After Davis Hall was demolished, the ghost is believed to have relocated to Dexter Hall, where it continued to wander the attic. Faculty at Dexter in the late 1960s and early 1970s reported that they could hear it there at night. However, this is not the only supernatural presence experienced on Worcester Academy's campus. Some believe that another presence lurks in Walker Hall.
It was a portrait of a WA alum who was killed during World War II, and it hung above the teacher's desk on the third floor room that back then was called Walker L. It was the room directly above the side entrance to Walker, facing Providence Street. A history teacher at WA in the 60s told me that he and others felt a definite ghostly presence when they visited this room. One night, he and others planned a seance there to contact the spirit. The same group was anxious to hold a seance in Dexter also to contact the ghost there. Mr. Brian O'Connell, October 12, 2009.
It is unclear whether the seances were successful. However, we do know that the teacher turned down a top administrative position as a director of admissions. When the position was offered to him in 1969 by Headmaster Dutch Rader, he turned down the position he'd been so eager to hold and left campus at the end of the year. To this day, the alumni office has no record of him returning to campus. The other teacher who had planned a seance with him lived in Dexter Hall. He also left Worcester Academy that very same year. Some of the soldiers who died at Dale General were returned home for burial. Others, whose families lacked the resources to do so, were buried in unmarked graves on the hospital grounds. The site selected was at the far end of the grounds. Records show that the basement level of Dale General Hospital was used by Dr. William Anderson. Here, Dr. Anderson treated soldiers who suffered from extreme post-traumatic stress. He was the only doctor who worked with these patients, and his colleagues explained that he mostly kept it to himself. What originally began as standard treatment drastically changed over time. Dr. Anderson began conducting experiments on the mentally unstable patients, attempting to cure them more rapidly. He was determined to save these soldiers. However, one by one, soldiers began to perish as a result of the experiments. Anderson was determined to fix his mistakes, and is known to have spent nights with the mentally insane, attempting to find a cure. His colleagues saw less and less of him. His wife left the doctor and moved in with her sister in Baltimore, bringing his 2 children along with her. On November 13th, 1862. Dr. Anderson's body hung in an empty cell in Davis Basement, exactly 1 year after the first reported death of one of his patients. The murder was recorded as a suicide, and no further investigation has been recorded. Why do all Worcester Academy personnel who investigate this further leave WA, never to return here? Why are there no further records of Dr. Anderson's experiments and death? Why have so many faculty children, and students all been disturbed by these supernatural occurrences, yet we attempt to hide the truth? Together, on the verge of All Hallows Eve, we will face these questions. We will finally face these disturbed souls. We will discover the unknown.